Welcome to Advisory Angle, everybody, presented by the STRATMOR Group. I'm not Sue Woodard, but Sue will be here shortly. We have Maria from STRATMOR joining at the start, Maria, right? For a couple minutes with me here. Yes, welcome everybody. I'm down in Florida near Jacksonville, Amelia Island for the IMB. We're outside. As I said to Maria when the show started, the show's going to start at 2 Eastern. I will receive a text from my dad in approximately 15 seconds saying, why aren't you at the Ritz-Carlton doing conference stuff? Out here golfing today with a couple mortgage people. There they are. Maria, before Sue joins, what can we expect on the show today?
Yeah, so we had a fun idea. Well, Sue had the fun idea to bring the show live to IMB since it coordinated this year. So she's going to be joined by some guests kind of popping in and just giving
there she is. Look at her.
Perspective on the conference. So,
hi, Sue. We can hear you.
Hi. Can you hear us okay?
Of course. Of course.
Okay. Well, lovely. And Robbie, where are you? You're somewhere here, but you're brave enough to brave the climes of Florida.
With short sleeves. I like that. I'm at the TPC Sawgrass Golf Course where they have the Players Championship, which is kind of the fifth major, playing golf with a couple mortgage people. I could not say no to the opportunity. It's
life is rough.
Life is rough.
Yeah.
Well, life was rough yesterday when it was 40 degrees outside and everybody. So I got to Amelia Island and we're on the ocean and I said let's go for a walk. And I lost feeling in my toes in about 40 seconds. And
yeah, so, there's probably a lot of the country where you're not garnering a lot of sympathy. But,
I know.
But hey, thank you for kicking us off.
Yeah, no problem.
We are reporting in live from IMB. So, welcome everybody to this episode of the Advisory Angle podcast, powered by the Chrisman Commentary. And then I'm here representing the STRATMOR Group. And Robbie, are you going to stay on with us for a little while? Or
no,
do you have to get back to your golf game?
I have to get back to the golf. I'm gonna stay on for about another minute or two here. And all I want to say is the mood is good at the conference. There's more originators than vendors this time around this year, which is good. Credit costs are obviously a big thing everyone's discussing. And so I'm sure you'll talk about that on this call. So with that, I'm going to bid you adieu.
All right. Thank you, Robbie. I hope your game is good. And I hope your toes stay unfrozen. So here we are. Hopefully everybody joining us can hear. I am delighted that my first guest, we're going to be having a few guests rotate in throughout the show because we are live from IMB. But Mr. Bob Jennings.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
First of all, give us you've had some big career moves lately. Fill us in on what you're up to.
So let's see, on January 5th, I started as CEO of Trust Engine. So I'm back kind of more in the entrepreneurial world within mortgage tech again, and really, really excited about that. I've spent most of my career with technology solutions that are more like mid-office, back office, operational efficiency type solutions, and the opportunity to jump to the top of the funnel or closer to the top of the funnel, right? With a solution that is much more loan originator focused was too good to pass up. And such a great team. Everybody knows Dave Savage, of course, but there's a lot of other great, really smart people there that I'm just excited to be working with and leading in this new organization. It's
an absolutely incredible crew, but it's very exciting to kind of see both you coming in and then what's going to be in store for the year ahead. So speaking of the year ahead, here we are at IMB. This is kind of one of the first big conferences of the year. So everybody's kind of, and everybody's freezing just a tiny bit in Florida. And I'm sorry for those of you that are in parts of the country where it's actually freezing, but it's pretty cold here. I mean, it was snowing in Florida. So, but here we all are. The turnout is actually fantastic. It's way better than I actually expected it would be. But this is one of my favorite conferences because everybody's here, everybody's together. So, and I know you've been making the rounds talking to people. So I want to know a little bit about what's the buzz? What are you hearing?
Yeah, for sure. So this is actually my first IMB. I've never actually been to IMB before.
Are you wearing the first timers badge?
Okay. They have printed it myself, so I got away with having the first timers badge of shame on. But most of my career has really been with financial institutions and kind of this just a little bit of a different world, right? And so getting more involved at an IMB level was a big priority for me, and I really couldn't wait to get out here. So many of Trust Engine's customers are IMBs.
Yes.
And, and I think a lot of that is because they're LO first and LO focused, and it just really fits well with us, of course. But, the buzz is really around what I hear a lot of, and what I've heard a lot of in the first month on the job, is that people are really struggling with how do we go from lead to app to conversion, right? And it's a big problem. And I've heard some crazy statistics from people that run lender shops that they're looking at 9 months, 18 months from initial lead to an actual application, right? And you think about how an LO has to manage and nurture that lead for so long.
And but it's by virtue of the fact that they can't find a home, right? Or they can't get their offer accepted. It's, it's not their choice, but your point is the cycle is
so long, right?
Fair.
And so how do you nurture that? How do you, how does a lender stay in front? How does an LO specifically stay in front of a borrower for that long to keep their attention? So when the opportunity is right for them to, make a move up, to go from a rent to an own situation, to possibly, downsize in their home, to refi in their home, right? There are all these different options and these different life events,
right,
that they're just ill prepared to talk about. And it's a broad challenge. And I think, there are a lot of smart companies that are looking to address that. And you have, folks that are introducing AI callers and
which are very impressive.
Very impressive.
Yes.
And all sorts of tools that are going to help kind of manage some of that nurturing process. But the more I talk to people, there is no panacea. People have to be looking at these solutions as part of a package, and how do you put it together in just the right way for you and your organization?
Right.
And then how does that, speed the time and energy and money invested in that nurture campaign to get people into the loans that they really need to.
So what would you say? I mean, if the folks who are listening are both executives and originators, we probably have some, and I think we can see the chat. Maria, you'll have to let me know if we can see the chat. If people have questions or anything, just jump in, and we're going to be changing seats in a couple minutes. We got some other guests that are going to be jumping in. But what is, kind of based on what you're hearing from the IMBs that you're talking to, originators or leaders, what is the most important action you would tell them to get started on as the year is kicking off here?
Well, I would say it's pick a strategy and go. Honestly, because again, there is no perfect solution. And stagnation is just not going to move the ball forward. Inertia will end up kind of killing everybody. And so pick a solution, make it small, make it actionable,
execute.
Execute, right? Make it practical, right? Like there's a lot of great AI solutions that are out there, but people tend to be, they want to use AI to solve all the world's problems, right? They want to use AI to, eliminate all of the manual processing that it takes to originate a loan and, remove the LO and all this other crazy stuff. Don't do that. Right.
Pick a use case. Yeah, we're doing a live podcast. Yeah, hang tight. I'll pull you in a minute. Yeah. I told you it's live. Right. It's live TV. It's live TV. We're doing it here. So Kobe, don't go too far away. But what I love what you just said, and we're gonna close on this point because we're gonna go to Chris in a moment coming up next. But one of the things that we have seen the best lenders out there do when it does come to AI is, or frankly, anything is ruthlessly prioritize those use cases and get yourself down to this is what we're trying to solve. You can't boil the ocean with it. I mean, I just said I was on stage on a panel and we were talking about how there's an AI solution for every single part of the manufacturing process. I mean, every wonderful vendor that's here has .ai at the end of it. Pick your use case, ruthlessly prioritize and execute.
And then move on to the next one.
And you've been a champion of that in your career.
Yeah.
I'm delighted that you've joined Trust Engine.
Thank you very much.
It's been exciting to watch the journey, but Thanks for
Appreciate it.
joining.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for
All right.
coming in. And we're going to go
See
to
everybody.
our next guest here. So Bob Jennings, now CEO of Trust Engine. Now we've got Mr. Chris Sims. Jump in here, buddy.
Sue.
With Friday Harbor. It's another one of our incredible clients at the STRATMOR Solution Provider Advisory. And everybody's talking AI. And so tell us a little bit, like, first just tell us real quick what Friday Harbor does, just so everybody's aware.
Yeah, think of it as having a full-time loan underwriter sitting with your loan originator the entire time, being able to review that file from beginning to end. And we can look at everything from giving you income calcs and actually an income playground or a sandbox where you can kind of, update the income, have it look different ways, maybe an 18-month calculation as opposed to a 24-month or even a 36-month if we needed to.
Love it. Okay. And I know you're getting a lot of traction out there. I mean, I've just heard a lot of, everywhere I go, I kind of hear people talking about you guys. So, like I said, very proud of what you're doing.
Thank you.
But this isn't your first IMB, not your first rodeo,
No,
is
yeah.
it? Okay.
No.
I have met a few people. It's their very first one. Crazy. I didn't know it was Bob's first one. But tell us, you've been out kind of making the rounds, talking with people. What are you hearing? Like, what's the buzz that you're hearing?
I was actually excited to hear that ARMs were making a comeback yesterday.
Okay.
There was some increase in the ARM movement that you're starting to see an uptick in people locking and registering ARMs loans. And it's funny, we forget about the ARM opportunity that comes with FHA loans and the ability to kind of do that in small caps compared to regular conventional loans. So I think there's an interesting little market there that we can pick back up on.
Okay, well that's good, and I know the sessions here are kind of fast and furious. I mean, we're going, session after session, and there's a lot of just interesting buzz about. Well, there's a lot of things, frankly, that are. Yes, that's the other thing. Do you want to speak to any of that?
I mean, obviously trying to get to a one bureau opportunity that Bob was talking about yesterday. You got CHLA that's got some different opinions on that too, and I think it really gets down to we need to continue to have more conversations and we need to get more people involved, especially around DC. So
yes,
the more influence we get that direction, the opportunity to kind of help this monopoly, oligopoly kind of come into line, I think would be beneficial, especially for the consumer. At the end of the day, it's hopefully to translate back to an easier process and a lower cost to the consumer.
Agreed. And by the way, I'm a big fan of the Mortgage Action Alliance. And again, this is live. Hopefully you guys can hear us okay. I don't know. Somebody can tell me if you guys can't hear us. It's a little raucous out here.
Yeah.
But I did want to give a shout out to the MORPAC and the Mortgage Action Alliance. I mean, if you want to join the Mortgage Action Alliance to stay up to date with what some of the legislative issues are, as well as actions that you can take, from your seat. We very often we all sit back and we complain about these things, but then we don't do the thing because we're not sure what to do, who to reach out to. The Mortgage Action Alliance actually tells you exactly, here's what to do. It doesn't cost anything to join it. Yep. And I'm remiss because I can't tell you to text a thing to the whatever, but just check out the Mortgage Action Alliance by the Mortgage Bankers Association.
And read the emails.
Read the emails, sign up for it. It doesn't cost anything, but get yourself on that list. So any just parting kind of comments that you tell the folks listening, who's a combination of leaders, originators, probably have some tech companies on there. What would you tell them to go do?
Ultimately, AI is one of those pieces that we're all kind of trying to understand where we need to put our piece into it, right? Where does it fit in voice? Does it fit in operations? Does it fit in compliance? Does it fit? And at the end of the day, I think it's one of those that we just need to be able to define where we think we could have the biggest issue and where AI might be able to fix that particular issue. Start there first, make it a small, easy piece of it before you jump in from beginning to end on the process.
So that's crazy because I know you probably couldn't hear what Bob and I were talking about, but Bob Jennings just said the exact same thing.
Oh, wow.
You just said, choose your use case and ruthlessly prioritize what it is, execute, and then go to the next one. Because I'll admit it's a little overwhelming when you kind of are out in the vendor hall and everybody seems to be an AI company and you're like, well, what part do you do? And I think there is some confusion out there.
Well, there is. And as we're designing AI, right? And we're taking advantage of the benefits that come with AI. You have to be very careful because if you don't put guardrails on things, then the AI can start doing a multiple of tasks that you didn't necessarily ask it to do. So that's why by being very focused and specific on what you want to try to accomplish, then you can gear the AI to be very specific. You can keep it controlled, have a good test case come out of it, and you'll see some big pickup that direction.
One of the other things I've heard people say that I'll give as kind of a hot tip, and we've seen lenders do this really effectively, is develop an AI task force. If you get a group of people across the departments in your company, not that they're going to be making all the decisions, but if you have their buy-in, that's
100%.
then you know, like you're not going to make a mistake by saying we're going to employ this AI
Yep.
on the front end, but we forgot about how it's going to impact operations. Now they're mad. You know, it's a way you can make sure you're peeking around the corners, but also develop champions,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And you need buy-in from each role because it's going to affect the entire process. So it is important to ensure that you're including sales, you're including operations, you're including that post-closing person, because there's value that they could see and utilize the software for that will bring big advantages to the company overall. So having that input from that team and including everyone in it, it gives you a good opportunity to launch it.
I love it. Hey, thanks so much for joining,
So
Chris.
it's been a pleasure.
We've got Kobe coming on the show next, live TV. Get on over here. So again, this is live TV, everybody. So, you know, you never know exactly what's going to happen.
I didn't know you were live. There was no lighting.
We're live. I know, but you know what? We're
You know?
we're not a high budget production.
There's no makeup chair back
But your mascara still looks excellent.
Yeah, it's
you
still
know.
from last
So
night.
yeah, and your
Didn't-
eyebrows
there. We were
are
out late.
perfect.
I didn't get a chance to
They're
take off.
perfect. But to introduce yourself to everybody here, I think most people probably know you. If you follow Kobe on social media, you probably are aware of him already. But talk a little bit about just kind of your role at T360.
Yeah, so I'm Kobe Hakalier. Super excited to be here with Sue, my good friend. I work at T360, which is a strategic advisory firm, mainly in the real estate brokerage sector. But I happen to work in the mortgage banking vertical of T3. I run the mortgage banking vertical. And so we work with a lot of brokerages that have core services that work with mortgage companies, title companies, insurance companies. And then we work with vendors that sell into that marketplace as well. And I'm generally just a loudmouth in the industry too.
No, you know what? I mean, you've got a great voice in the industry. You got a little megaphone out there. But you've been making the rounds. You know, we've made some rounds together here. You
Yeah.
had a great dinner together last night.
We had an
A
amazing.
great group of people. But tell me, what are you hearing when you sit down? You're having the conversations with the lenders. Again, our audience here is lender executives, loan originators. We've got some tech, folks that joined as well. But talk a little bit about the buzz that you're hearing.
Yeah, so of course over the past year, if we're going to talk about tech, of course over the past year, it's voice AI and it's interacting with customers and it's giving customers the frictionless digital experience that they've been asking for. A lot of talk about that in this room. I will tell you, if we move over to the policy side, I was accosted is probably too strong of a word. I was approached twice by
Yes.
people with very strong opinions about the credit reporting battle that seems to be going on in our industry, the tri-merge versus the single poll.
Yes.
I think I've made my position pretty clear on where I stand, and people have very strong feelings about it.
Well, share your position.
Yeah, so
nobody can attack you here.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. This
It's
is
a safe place.
I'm behind the desk.
So-
Nobody can get to me.
Exactly. It's all good.
I'm a big believer that it takes going through some pain and it takes accepting a certain amount of risk in order to get to the other side of something. And I think that we as an industry have an obligation to figure out how do we get to that next generation of where our industry is? How do we, of course, pass it along? And we need younger people in this business, different conversation. But how do we get to a point where we can do things cheaper, better, more efficiently? And I think one of the answers to that is the single merge versus the tri-merge, and not just for what it means for credit reporting specifically, but for what it means in terms of adopting risk and tackling problems and figuring out, okay, we understand that there's a need for this, and we understand that the other side of it can be scary and unknown. Well, how do we mitigate for that? How do we have those conversations in a respectful and productive way so that we can advance our entire industry for the betterment of the consumer?
And maybe this is a naive question, but who's fighting for a tri-merge?
I don't know
Besides the
that
credit
anybody's,
bureaus.
I don't know anybody's fighting for the tri-merge. What we do have are a lot of people who are afraid of what our world would look like without the tri-merge. And I think that's when you argue from a position of fear versus a position of, hey, let's tackle this and figure it out and let's try to get to a better place. That creates status quo.
Yeah.
And that creates, paralysis. And I think that we need to avoid that at all costs. I think that's never done well for us as an industry, nor is it done well for any industry.
Agreed. Okay. Any, couple more minutes here. But
Okay.
is there anything that you would tell, the folks listening that based on, especially some of the things that we're seeing and hearing here, the conversations that we're having, anything that you would say like, hey, you're not here at IMB because you're listening.
Yeah.
What anything that people should know about, take action on, anything in particular that you've got on your mind that people should do as we're heading into the
Yeah, just
New
the
Year.
two conversations I had coming into this room were people, saying, thank you for using your voice. Thank you for being as vocal as you are about these issues. And my response to them was, you have just as much a voice as I do, and you should be out there and you should be involved.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest message, is get involved. There's a ton of advocacy work to be done. There's a ton of trust building we have to do with the consumers. There's a ton of conversations we need to be having internally with one another. So that would be, so if you're watching, that means that you do care about this industry, right?
Yeah.
And you've got an amazing host here as well. But get involved. Use your voice.
Yes.
Be loud.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And I have to tell you, again, you didn't hear what we were talking about before you sat down, but the Mortgage Action Alliance. I'm a big fan of the Mortgage Action Alliance with the Mortgage Bankers Association. And it is a way that your voice can be heard. We can't all just sit here and complain about things, but we can, actually get involved, make our voices heard. There's a question here that I'm going to look at. Has anyone asked investors if they'd be willing to pay top dollar for a 1-score loan, not knowing what the other 2 scores might be? I doubt that same premium would be paid.
Yeah, and that's a genuine question, right? The answer is, if you asked investors today if they would pay for a 1-score loan versus 3, of course they would say no, right? Because we don't understand. Yeah, they don't have to. We haven't yet figured out how to vet those risks, how to mitigate those risks. And there's a broader conversation here too, because if you think about, if you move to a 1-score, well, what does that do to LLPAs? We've been talking about LLPA reform and FHA premium reform, right?
Right.
And so we start having conversations about how to make the credit reporting and the scoring more efficient. That could lead us into other incredible conversations about bringing affordability back to the borrower in a very meaningful way, just on the demand side, and then we'll tackle the supply side at another show.
Yes, we will. Well, thank you so much for joining. We're going to move on to our next guest.
Yeah.
Love you, brother.
Of course, thank you.
Later. And Hamza, do you want to come on over and jump into the show?
Oh, great. He's going to kill it.
He is. He
Talk to him
will
about
kill
ping
it.
pong.
So I know something really interesting about this gentleman. I'm getting ready to introduce you to Hamza of Automax AI. Take a seat. Live TV here, and he was kind enough to let us use his booth, because we're just out here in the vendor hall being live. You have an incredible backstory of your company, so welcome to the advisory angle.
Awesome.
Talk a little bit about where you came from in the industry and why you're here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is my first mortgage conference here at ICE, actually, so a very different crowd than my appraiser crowd that I'm used to. I come from a long history of family appraisers. My grandpa first started an appraisal firm back in the 70s. Then my dad's generation all got into it. My generation all got into it. I went and I took all the courses to become a trainee appraiser. And then I quit to go do software engineering instead. And I went and I did my degree. I did machine learning. I used to do machine learning research. So I got really into AI, really deep within the technology. I was actually doing research for OpenAI and a bunch of the other model labs that are out there today. And then Automax started really as just a weekend project of me sitting down, building some tech to automate the horrible pieces that we had within our own family appraisal firm. Where, if anyone's familiar with the actual appraisal workflow, the median age of the appraiser today is 62 years old.
Is that right?
62 years old.
It's still older than me, so I can laugh, but yeah, they're not getting younger.
They're not getting younger. And you can imagine the process that they use today has been the same process for the last 30 years. So we started building tech to automate the data analysis, the data entry, the inspection, which is being done on pen and paper. And we ended up saving so much time on those appraisals that we realized we should be doing these appraisals ourselves. We should build a better appraisal experience directly for lenders. So that's what we turned into. We're an AMC right now. We do appraisals directly for lenders across every category: home equity, fix and flip, non-QM, origination, refis, purchases, where we now provide them with a far superior appraisal experience, where now that appraisal starts with a homeowner-led inspection. Homeowner uses their mobile app to take a scan of their house, and that within 1 hour turns into a fully completed appraisal report signed by one of our staff appraisers. But yeah, very different and unusual journey into mortgage.
It is.
But it's been fun. I mean, IMB has been great here, meeting a bunch of people from the lender side for the first time.
So it's literally your very first mortgage conference.
Exactly.
I know. He's like a little deer in the woods, but we've been taking good care of you.
Exactly.
Yes. So tell me what buzz are you hearing? Because you're kind of making your way around. You're inserting yourself into conversations. What are you hearing from people that's maybe surprising to you or that you didn't expect?
Well, I'm happy that people are optimistic. It feels like right now, because we'd had a rough couple of years in mortgage, the last couple of years, and it feels like this has been the first year of actually we're set up probably the best since 2019 to actually sit and grow and profit and build for scale. And so I think mindsets have shifted quite a lot, where people are very much in the investment mode because things are going well, and it's not so much you need to cut costs and lay off people. You have an opportunity where, I mean, we had Matt Frantino's presentation at the very start. Mike Frantino, Frantoni on.
It's okay. It's your first time. It's okay. Mike Frantoni.
Don't steer.
He won't hold it against you. You did good.
Which was all around going 8% up in business this year, everything looking good, right?
Yes,
so generally it feels like we've been optimistic, where everyone is very much in a mode to see what's happening. True. What are people doing? Let's see if we can take a leg up here and set ourselves up for a good 2026.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, you guys know me, I'm a bit of an optimist anyway, so I'm always like, this is the year. But actually, I feel like we are seeing some good things. I saw some stats recently that said there's currently more mortgages above 6% than below 3%. So meaning some of that mortgage, lock-in effect is starting to thaw out, so to speak. I do want to ask you one more question before we move to our next guest. I challenged people at a dinner I was at last night to learn something different and new about the people they were talking to, not just like, what do you do and what does your business do? And you had a crazy story to tell. Can you share a little bit about the interesting thing you shared?
So I played professional ping pong for the last 5 years of my life, pretty much before this. I got really into it in high school, which I guess I'm dating myself here because that wasn't that long ago. But I got really into it in high school. One of my best friends, my roommate throughout college as well, was on the Canadian national team. So I trained a lot, played a lot with them. I made it onto the Canadian team myself as well. Played a bunch of tournaments across the country. We had our collegiate league, which I went to University of Waterloo, which is a small town outside of Toronto. And that first year in uni was the first time that our uni won the nationwide league in North America, which, I mean,
you're kind of a big deal.
I mean,
kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's
hey, you want to hang tight and say hi for a second? We're doing a live podcast.
Oh.
Hold on 1 second. You're kind of a big deal in appraisals and in ping pong. So anyways, so glad that you're here.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sue.
Yeah. We have a surprise guest jumping in real quick. Brian, just jump on in here. So it's a live TV here from Live TV. Yeah, we're doing the Advisory Angle podcast, STRATMOR Group, powered by the Chrisman Commentary. So got a bunch of people listening. We're just broadcasting live from IMB. So tell us, what's a good word here, Brian?
What a great a conference as usual. The IMB has always been one of my favorite conferences.
Yes.
It's where a lot of the decision makers show up. There's a great energy, and in my new capacity, I'm just trying to spread the word about MISMO.
Bringing sexy back to
MISMO.
I love it.
Do you guys know that's how it was spelled?
Yes, we do know that about MISMO.
Okay, good.
So
but most people don't know much more.
Okay,
that's kind of what I'm.
But you're changing things.
Yeah, we're trying.
You're changing things. And you've got Amy Moses on board. She's a superstar, rock solid.
Yeah.
What's the buzz? What are you hearing? Like a lot of these folks weren't able to come to IMB, so they're tuning in to get some what's happening at IMB.
Yeah.
Everybody's
talking about AI.
Where's the MERS? Is it Kia Maria Road?
Oh, hold on, folks. Time out. We got to do something. We got to take care of somebody.
That's okay. I don't know. So like I said, live TV, but we're giving directions here. But it's okay, brother.
Tim.
AI.
Tim.
Yeah.
Stumbling in.
It's okay. It's all right.
So AI. Everyone's talking about AI.
Yes.
I think everyone's rightfully so trying to figure out, where do you responsibly adopt? Where do I start if I haven't started?
Correct.
Where do I double down if I've started somewhere?
Yes.
And so I think this is the first time I've been in a room where people are actually describing how they're actually leveraging it and how it's benefiting them.
Yep.
And so that's an encouraging sign, I think, for the industry.
No, I think that's fair. We've said with some of our other guests, I mean, every vendor here has .ai. It feels like at the end of their name.
Right.
And you're like, well,
we're changing MISMO to MISMAI.
Okay, .ai. Yeah, I think Garth Graham said on a previous episode of the Advisory Angle, he went and got the domain name STRATMORgroup.ai, just in case we need it, But some of the other guests said very much what you're saying. Prioritize your use cases, execute, then go on to the next one. And the thing I would add to that, another comment that I've heard, is to be thoughtful of your change management, because the pace at which AI is moving is extremely fast. And guess what can't keep up with that is everybody inside your company and even consumers, right? I mean, we're just lowly humans.
And risk and compliance.
And risk and compliance, right? I mean, always risk and compliance.
Pick places where you're maybe not facing off with the consumer. Start with the non-consumer facing areas that maybe are lower down the risk continuum.
Yep. but
And-
understand your people. I
That's
mean,
right.
I just
Oh,
think
yeah.
it's the change management element of it. We have to be, Pew Research said 52% of people are extremely afraid that AI is going to take their job or significantly impact it. Well, we got to be aware of that,
Yeah.
right? When we're,
Yeah.
it's one of the reasons I said earlier on the show, develop an AI task force in your business, get some inputs from, the other departments.
Bring your
So
humans into
bring
the
your
loop.
humans in.
Right.
Humans in the loop.
All right, I got to go to my next
Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have Ashley coming
Ashley, you're
up,
up.
coming on next.
one.
Get on over here.
I see
girl.
how this goes.
Thanks for joining.
Like I just,
All right.
I warm it up and then the stars
Warm
get
it up,
to,
and
the
then
stars get to show
superstar
up.
exactly comes
Right.
on in. All right. Get on in here, sister.
I wanted to be on with Brian.
Well, he's got meetings to go
I know,
to.
he's a busy
People
man.
are asking us for directions on where to get to the next party.
I know.
So, but please, Ashley, introduce yourself to everybody listening.
Hi, I'm Ashley Terrell. I am our Senior Vice President of Mortgage Inside Real Estate.
Well, tell us a little bit, because some of the folks listening may not be super familiar with what inside real estate is, what you do. So talk a little bit about kind of just your mission.
Yes. So we are one of the largest technology providers for residential real estate. So think Remax, think EXP, think Berkshire Hathaway, Home Services of America. We've been doing a ton of work for their realtors, generating leads, converting leads, all the way through into their back office and transaction management systems. Obviously, natural synergies here with mortgage. My background personally has been always bridging that gap between real estate and mortgage. And so that's really what we're here doing, is how do we bridge that gap a little bit more, especially with the consolidation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I think we're all seeing there's going to be continued consolidation this year. Yes. I mean, so even though the mood is optimistic, though, would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually love it. I think it gives opportunity for a lot of, for me personally, I always love seeing real estate and mortgage working closer together. I think it's better for the consumer. And I think that's been a theme, is how do we increase transparency to the consumer and create a better consumer experience? So the more we bring that together, I think that's really what we're all trying to get to.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
What's I know you've been kind of making the rounds. What's the buzz? Like, what's something interesting that you've heard from folks here, something surprising, or kind of what's caught your ear?
I hate saying this, nothing surprising, because I'm sure this is a theme that I probably got. I even heard Brian saying it, is AI has obviously been a huge deal. I know that's probably getting overused a lot.
No, but
it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the conversations I've had is, how do you feel as a company, as an operator? Do you feel optimistic? Are you sad knowing that it might cut out jobs? Are you excited for what it could bring the business? And I think a lot of people are really just trying to understand what exactly does it mean.
Yes.
For me as a business, and caring about people in the process.
Yes.
There's a factor.
Well, and I think in many cases, some of the lenders that we're seeing do have a really good job deploying AI. It's not always about how many humans can we replace. It's also about how can you just optimize things, take away some of the overhead so that the humans can do the very best that they can do.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so I think there's a lot to be said with that. What are you kind of looking forward to in the year ahead? I mean, what do you think this year is going to bring us?
I think between consolidation, obviously that's been a theme. I think we all know this, the Rocket Redfin Mr. Cooper deal. I've heard rumors, which I won't talk about on my podcast.
Okay, do it.
I will get myself in trouble. But I've heard some rumors, but I think there's going to be a lot more. I think there's going to be a lot more of that. There's also been a lot with lawsuits. I personally was very vocal and involved with the commission lawsuits that happened on the real estate side. I think that now with this, what we're seeing with Rocket and that respite, it's along the same theme of transparency to the consumer. And so we're going to see consolidation, but then with that, how do we still give consumer transparency? I think it'll be very interesting to see how everybody navigates through that. I think there's a couple lawyers out there that found some holes, and we're going to have to, as an industry, we're going to have to figure out how to fill that. So,
well, in transparency, you mentioned that. I think that's a key word where, I think that's what consumers are looking for. And so the certainty, the transparency, but then they want to have the trust in the folks that they're working with. So any parting words for the folks that weren't lucky enough to be here in freezing Florida?
It's freezing.
Yes.
It's a couple of my colleagues were at Inman in New York, and it's not that much more for here in Amelia Island, but the views are gorgeous.
Yes, that's right. We got the
we got the views.
So,
It's
all
just
right.
cold out there.
We're going to shift on gears over here to Neil Armstrong. Bye, darling.
It was good seeing you.
It's good seeing you. We'll see you at happy hour.
Okay.
And actually, I think happy hour is starting in just a couple minutes. So we are going to bring our last guest on here.
Can we save the best for last?
Well,
Can we save the
always,
best
you
for
know, you're
last?
the closer. You're the
Oh,
closer.
come
Bring
on,
it
come on,
home.
come on.
So the one, the only Neil Armstrong
Hi.
of Indicom. Hello. So the
Excited to be here.
advisory angle, you know, all the people that are listening in here, we've got originators, we've got executives from lending companies as well as technology companies. And I did want to bring you on to just, I mean, first share a little bit about Indicom.
Sure.
It's one of my favorite companies that, you know, I wish
20
everybody knew everything about.
26 years in business, started in the document post-closing area.
Yes.
Built our own internal platforms for our own use. We got really probably in 2005, 6 times really heavily into QC and underwriting.
Yep.
And in 2009, we launched our first platform, and we still use it to this day, Doc Genius.
Yep.
And automates trailing docs. And now
It's
you look
good
at
stuff.
you
Yep.
look at where we are now, 200 plus clients, 26 years in business, offering obviously some outsourcing solutions, but obviously the thing that we're kind of known for right now is 6 platforms that we built that automates the life cycle of loans. Right?
Yes. Yep.
So it's the second time I've been within the I was here from 2010 to 14 before
Yep.
going to PHH.
Yep.
So
I remember.
got a big place on my heart for this place. They're good
Yes,
people, as you know.
Yes,
so-
yes. Some of the very best in the
Yeah.
industry, of course. So
Yep.
I know you've been making the rounds here.
Mhm.
And so we've kind of heard from some of the other guests that have joined about like, what's the buzz? What are they hearing? So I'm kind of curious, are you going to say the same thing or do you have a
No.
different, well, I don't know. You didn't hear what they said.
I
So,
did.
but
I'll say this: there's a little bit more optimism at this
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Better attendance. Still cost.
Yes.
Cost to produce a loan still probably the biggest concern
yes,
by far.
yes.
I think I was talking to you earlier about this. You know, we've had a good year and a good month, but it's all been driven by one underlying problem. That is, we have a cost problem in the industry that needs to be fixed. Right.
Yes, yes.
So that's I see optimism. I'm hearing, you know, the great meetings that I've had today. People are encouraged, but there's still this, you know, thing over their head right now.
So let me ask you this, not to throw you a curveball, but like when you think about costs still being a problem, but you know, when I'm like, what's everybody talking about? Everybody's like AI solutions, AI solutions.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's a challenge for lenders, probably the folks listening,
Mm.
of okay, now I'm supposed to adopt more technology when
I
I've
think-
already. So talk about that a little
I
bit.
think the industry, I'll be honest, I think when AI first came out, a lot of lenders and independents got burned because you can't just throw automation to throw automation at something, right? There's different types of automation, right? So you got deterministic automation that, you know, if income calculations, eligibility guidelines, guidelines and so forth, where if this, then that, right? You don't need AI for that type of rules-based automation. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
But when you take that type of deterministic outcome and you add agentic AI on top of it, which is true AI,
Yep.
well, then you start looking at completely revolutionizing and changing. We've had a couple clients that have done this, changing the entire mortgage process by maybe you look at underwriting and then you bifurcate the process where you become an asset and income expert because the AI has basically gone through 10 loans and says, hey, 5 of these have problems and here's the problems. You got to solve the issues I found, right?
Okay.
Calculate income. There's a large deposit. It doesn't match, right? So I think it's becoming more, it's going to drive down costs significantly. And we're seeing that in our clients right now.
Okay.
But I think you have to
You're
look at
seeing
it.
it drive down costs.
It definitely is 100%. Our clients are giving us the data.
Okay.
It's definitely driving down costs. And you can break it down really by function too. You can look at, you know, loan setup is automated, processing is automated except for power contact. Underwriting is probably the biggest area. QC results we're seeing is fantastic. But I think you have to take a much broader look at it and say, okay, what is my business today? Where do I want it to go? What's the roadmap to get there? And start getting wins.
Yes.
Because I think
Yeah. We're doing a live, do you want to jump in and say,
Justin,
yeah, hang tight. You'd be an interesting hang tight. We're doing a live podcast. So
it's
I'll definitely have you. Yeah. Come on. Yeah.
come on,
inside.
we're live, man.
You know, look, got Justin DeMola here. Hey, everybody. I do have a question for you. So, you want to talk a little bit about some credit stuff? You're kind of, you know, to
I don't know
talk.
if I can clear my credit stuff without getting questions approved.
Oh, okay. Well, do you have anything approved you can share with us? 'Cause it's kind of a,
What should you know, Sue?
well, just talk to us about the single score, the tri
Well, I'm not getting involved in that right now. I'm on NBA turf.
Okay, on NBA turf. All right, fair enough. Fair
Fair
enough.
enough.
He's backing away from the,
Switzerland over here.
I guess it's a little bit more, like it's a little more heated issue than I would have thought.
Very. I actually had a conversation this morning about it.
Like fights breaking out in hallways
Yeah.
here at IMB. I
You never know. You might get a boxing ring out here and just let them go
don't
at
have
it,
that,
right?
But, okay, well, I know they're literally getting ready to open those doors and have 1 billion people come pouring out momentarily for open bars. Is it open bars already? It's only like 2:40.
2:30 is open bar.
I don't know.
This
Anyways,
conference
I-
rolls a little differently.
This conference rolls a
Yeah.
little different, but this is a great conference. I do have to say.
We're so happy with
Yeah.
your attendance and the
Yeah.
meetings I've had today.
Yes.
Last couple of years have not been strong.
Yeah, this has been really, really
right.
good. It's been really good.
Oh, yeah.
So
Really good.
anything that you'd say to the folks listening who didn't get a chance to be here in icy cold Florida?
Be open to looking at your process independent, whether it's a company like us that comes in or somebody else. To like a look at where's your areas of opportunity to lower costs. Like, okay, we're conditioned to add headcount when volume comes in. I challenge everybody that's listening, look at it differently. You know, look at automating those functions to take away the need for a lot of human capital, as I would call it, right?
Yeah, I think that's good.
It's a good parting shot.
It's a good parting shot. You know what we may do? We're gonna wrap up the advisory angle in a few moments, but I think what I'll do though is if should we just take a little walkabout?
Let's go. Let's
And
see what.
I'll
Let's
show
go see
you
it.
guys a
Come
little
on.
bit of what's happening here at IMB. We're down behind the general session. I'm not sure who's in there right now, but I'll just kind of turn it around and kind of see what's happening
Buzzing.
here. Don't want to
Buzzing.
walk into anybody, but I'll give you a
Good.
little walkabout here. You know, have your vendors. Our friends at Dark Matter are here. Our friends at True Work. Hey, our friends at True Work are here. We've got our friends at Aquilus. Hey, how's it going? We're doing a live podcast here for STRATMOR, and Aquilus is our latest entrant to the STRATMOR Solution Provider Advisory. So we're very excited. Love our friends at Aquilus. All right. Hey, Glenn, give a shout out. Say hello. We're doing a live podcast. Hey. And of course, our buddies at Total Expert. Say hello. Hi. I know it's always good fun. So, Becca, yeah, so you can see all the good fun that's happening here at IMB. It's a good crowd of people. There's all kinds of good stuff happening here. So if you didn't make it here this year, I hope you'll come next year. But for now, we're going to sign off of the advisory angle. Neil, thank you for jumping in here at the end.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And thanks everybody for joining us for the advisory angle with the STRATMOR Group, powered as always by the Chrisman Commentary. Love y'all. We'll see you next month. Bye-bye.